When the Rams lost to the New England Patriots, that Ram team was as dominant and great a football team as I had ever seen.
Right sideline, Marshall's there, touchdown Rams!
They had it all. Kurt Warner, they had Isaac Bruce, one of the receivers, Torrey Holt, Marshall Faulk.
Forget the big red S. Superman wears a 2 and 8 on his chest. Fires for the end zone, caught, touchdown Rams!
It's one thing to be on teams and you have 2 or 3 players that are excellent, have great talent. It's a whole nother thing to be on a team where excellence is required.
They're sliding, Aeneas Williams has got it. He's inside the 15, 10, 5, touchdown, Aeneas Williams.
Talent-wise, the 2001 team was better than the 1999 team.
14-2, the Rams are, and they lock up home field advantage through the NFC playoffs.
Tonight, a dynasty is born, baby.
From the Louisiana Superdome, it is Super Bowl 36.
You don't practice to lose a Super Bowl. You're thinking you're gonna win, go back to the hotel, have your party.
Brady drops back to throw, looks, fires right. Touchdown, David Pep!
That's pitiful football right there.
Down 17-3 at halftime. We came back. We came back in the game. It's tied. We end up losing to eventually Hall of Fame quarterback, Hall of Fame coach, and a Hall of Fame place kicker.
The kick is on the way, and it is good. And the Patriots win Super Bowl 36.
Von Miller, his 10th sack of the season.
The defense that entire year was second to none.
The ball's knocked free. Bradley Roby picks up the fumble and scores. Are you kidding me?
You know, people often like to separate that team. Their defense often fueled their offense.
I didn't have to maybe carry as much on my shoulders, allow other guys to do their parts in order to help us win.
Throws pass, going to be intercepted. Von Miller with the pick. The Broncos are going to Super Bowl 50.
I love you, baby. You too, man. Let's go, cut it loose.
I'm happy you're my quarterback, man. I'm happy I met you.
Playing in Super Bowl 50 was incredible. I just remember going into that game not being nervous, and I'm always nervous before every single game.
Drops back 3, pressure there, he'll be set. The ball ripped away, it rolls into the end zone, touchdown! Broncos!
In the pocket is Newton, he pumps, the ball's knocked out of his hands, it bounces around, and I think Denver's got it. Ball still is free. Von Miller again.
I got a ring, you got one too. I got a ring, you got one too.
It was definitely incredible, and it was definitely life-changing, and still feel the effects of that performance today.
There is a quote from St. Paul. While all the runners in a stadium are in a race, only one wins the prize. So run to win.
A lot of pressure on us. Coach put pressure on us. We put pressure on ourselves.
At this particular time, we're going to try to repeat.
Coach Lombardi started from the get-go that year about winning the 3rd consecutive title. No one had ever won 3 consecutive titles.
Try to get in front of him, you got no power.
We started out rather haphazardly the first few games of the season. Then there was a great attack upon us by the press media that we were all old, that we were over the hill. In New York, Bob Skoronski in his pregame speech got up and said, "I'm tired as hell about being called an old man." He said, "I'm up to here with it," and I think everyone else on the club was too.
It was more difficult than any season for me and for all of us. And it was more rewarding because of that.
They talked about the Packers getting old and said, now's the time to show them what old guys can do.
Whatever happened to all of those supposedly old men on the Packer roster?
Well, Al, I guess you would have to say all of our so-called old people all came through with flying colors.
Here's
years of broadcasts that we've done for the Green Bay Packers, but we've never taken it down to the wire like this for an NFL championship.
You have incredibly bad weather. You have Lombardi's last run at it. You have the Cowboys and the Packers. Packers are an older team. You have a field that's full of ice. It's a historical moment in the history of sport.
Takes the snap. He has the quarterback taken. He's into the touchdown. And the Green Bay Packers are going to be NFL champions for the third straight year.
The best team, I think, was a 1967 team.
Some said Oakland wasn't in the same league with their victors. Others said they were lucky not to be.
That game was the most balanced team I remember.
The Green Bay Packers, once again, are the world champions of pro football.
People say we're getting old, but that was a great team.
The Detroit Lions won the NFL championship in 1953.
Lane sends a long, high pass downfield. Dorn Dibble is behind his defender and hauls it in for a Lion tally.
They were led by Bobby Lane, who Sports Illustrated later called the toughest quarterback ever. And that was true. He didn't play with a face mask. He was also, by the way, aside from being tough, just an awesome quarterback.
Lane playing one of his best games today, racks up the final score of the game.
So they had a top 5 defense and top 5 offense.
A bland pass intended for Hensley is pilfered by Jack Christensen.
Jack Christensen led the NFL with 12 interceptions that year. The team ended up with multiple Hall of Famers. I mean, they really rewrote what it meant to stack the roster with talent in the 50s. Now, if you're a Lions fan, you don't understand it. That was one of the most talented teams in the history of football.
And that's the story of the 1953 Detroit Lions, the new champions of professional football.
This club is played on such a high-intensity level. You expect them to let down, but they never let down. They just kept coming and coming and coming the whole season.
In my heart, in my mind, even back then as a kid, this was America's team. This is the team in the capital.
Back is Theismann. Quick lob into the corner of the end zone. Touchdown! Alvin Garrett with his second today.
Our offense was dynamic and explosive.
Passes Hipple, rushes on, gets it off near side, picked off by Jarris White. He's gone.
It was an unbelievable combination of great players, a great defense.
Hit the ball well, set up a screen, batted in the air, picked off by Darryl Grant. Touchdown, Washington Redskins.
They had a lot of great players.
Here comes the Diesel.
My favorite player was Art Monk.
Touchdown, Art Monk.
You use Art Monk underneath to kind of control the linebackers, pull the secondary forward, and then you use all the little fun bunch guys to run by you.
Here at Super Bowl 17, very close to 104,000. Lob into the end zone. Garrett there. Touchdown, Washington Redskins. Here comes the fun bunch in the end zone.
Drag up that Diesel.
There's the snap, hand to Riggins. Good hole. He's got the first down to the 40. He's gone. The 35, the 30, the 20. He's gone. He's gone. Touchdown, Washington Redskins. For the first time since 1942, the Washington Redskins have an NFL championship.
The 2007 team, I think a lot of people forget. We started out 0-2 and everybody was saying that Eli was no good, he was a bust, that Tom didn't know how to coach, that this team, they need to just rip it apart and start over. In week 3, when we played Washington, I think it just solidified our belief that we were a good team.
4th and goal at the 1. Campbell takes the snap, handoff left for Betts, and he's tripped up and stopped short. And the Giants may have saved their season.
What we did that year as a team, through the playoffs, every single game on the road, we called ourselves the Road Warriors.
Manning back to throw. Pumps, looks, fires right for Toomer in the end zone. Touchdown, Giants.
Off to Dallas. Off to Dallas.
The 07 Giants, they could run the football, and they would play action, and they would play dominant defense.
So a season is down to one play.
16 seconds to go. Giants leading by 4. Romo takes the snap. Back to throw. Has time to the end zone. Intercepted by the Giants. They have earned a trip to the NFC Championship game in Green Bay.
And that's the minus 27-degree game. And that's a great football game.
Believe it, we're going to win this damn game.
All right, here goes goes Tynes again from 47 yards. Kick on its way, end over end. Does it have the distance? It is good! Lawrence Tynes has kicked the Giants to the Super Bowl.
We're headed for the Super Bowl, obviously against the undefeated New England Patriots.
We ain't supposed to be here, right? The quarterback cannot be sacked, can't even be hit.
I mean, that Patriots team still might be the best team in NFL history. The thing about football, though, is if you have 3-4 pass rushers on the other side, those guys can disrupt the game.
This quarterback's internal clock has been just discombobulated.
One touchdown, we are world champions.
And he's gonna fight out of it, still fights out of it, now throws it deep downfield, wide open Tyree, takes the catch. Manning takes the snap, looks left, lobs it left, Burst is wide open, touchdown Giants! And the New York Giants are the Super Bowl 42 champions. Read all about it, baby, Big Blue!
Beating an 18-0 team in the Super Bowl, I don't know that it gets any better than that.
Who was a better team that year, the Giants or the Patriots?
Well, I mean, you win the Super Bowl, you're the best team that year. That's how this game's played.
It was if that year a genie came out of a bottle and said, every ball's going to bounce your way, every fourth quarter you're going to come back and win, every wish will be granted to you.
Jim Carr digs for pay dirt and scores for the Eagles.
That's what that season felt like.
The fabulous Dutchman Norm Van Brocklin earned the league's most valuable player award for his role in the Eagles' flight to victory.
His will became the will of that entire team because the guys wanted it for him.
Franklin Field in Philadelphia is the arena for this world championship struggle between the kingpins of the National Football League's Eastern Conference, the Philadelphia Eagles, and the Green Bay Packers, rulers of the Western Conference. Van Brocklin goes back and looks for McDonald. Tommy's open on the 7 to take Van Brocklin's pass into the end zone for the first touchdown of the game.
We were sitting in the end zone, so the Packers were driving right towards us. And it came down to kind of one play. And there's number 60 standing there like the Great Wall. Bednarik just wrestles him to the ground.
Philadelphia Eagles have won the World Championship of Professional Football.
I turned to my grandfather who was standing next to me and I give him a hug. And I looked up and my grandfather was crying. And that said everything about what that game meant to the people in Philadelphia.
First team, it was so unexpected. You know, we built a team like a team had never been built before. The rule was that you can't build a championship through free agency. We signed 23 free agent players that teams didn't want.
We're a bunch of new players with the guys that were there from the previous years. Teddy Bruschi, Troy Brown, Ty Law, Lawyer Malloy, Willie McGinnis. Those players we were lucky enough to join and become teammates with.
And there was a leadership change, right? It went from Drew to Tommy.
Talk to me about your favorites, because just talk about under. Love under, okay. You just want to throw so you can get on TV, huh?
We're 5-5 midway through the season. Nobody thought we were that kind of team.
We were 5-5 and won 9 games in a row after Thanksgiving and continue to get better and continue to improve.
We believed in ourselves. We played better than teams that were more talented than us throughout the course of the playoffs and ultimately deserved to win.
We're going to the AFC Championship game. Touchdown! Touchdown, Troy Brown! And we're heading to New Orleans.
I said I was going to get you down! Let's just get all corralled in there and let them open up the doors, and we'll head out and all go out together.
As a team, the New England Patriots.
That was a pretty good experience.
We might not have been the most talented team, but we played the best when it mattered.
Adam Vinatieri, kick is on the way, and it is good! It's good! The Patriots are Super Bowl champions!
And that's really what football's about. It's about the team that plays the best, not the team that has the most talent.